Good morning. Today's show is going to be a little bit of comparative talking. Last week, I saw a segment of the Today Show that actually infuriated me. And it talked about young women in their 20s deciding to freeze their eggs because they don't have any husband or any prospects and they want to have kids someday, but not today. And they're freezing their eggs. Now, here's what upset me. It's not cheap to freeze one's eggs, but some health insurance companies will pay 75% of the up to $30,000 plus it costs to freeze these eggs. They'll pay for that. Now, again, put your thumbs away. This really isn't about what you think it's going to be about, because you know what? I really don't give a crap if insurance covers this stuff. I don't think it should. Okay? I don't think health insurance should cover in vitro fertilization because that is not a life-threatening illness, even though some women treat it and society treats it like it is. What do you mean you can't get pregnant the old-fashioned way? Oh my God, your life is over. No, you're not going to die because you can't have a baby the old-fashioned way. That's not going to kill you. It's not a disease. And you can disagree with that all you like. But I want to talk today not about those that are unborn, those that we don't know, those that we will never meet maybe, or we don't know and they're not here yet, or cells in a petri dish, fetuses, embryos, eggs. I want to talk about real human beings that are here right now, people we love, people we care about, who health insurance, Medicaid, and Medicare are throwing under the bus because their lives don't matter anymore. Everybody in this country is so hot to get more babies born. If the birth rate in America goes down, everybody loses their collective minds. Oh my God, we have to get more people to have babies. Well, the problem is, do we really need more people in this country? Because we're not taking all that great a care of the people that are already in this country, already born, people we love, people who have worked their entire lives to hopefully enjoy their twilight years, their retirement. And let me just tell you this, guys, they're not having a hell of a lot of fun. For 40, 50 years, every morning they woke up. They fed their kids breakfast. They didn't have no food stamps. They packed their kids' lunches. They sent them off to school. Then they themselves went to their jobs, their jobs. And they hated their jobs, but they did it. Why? To support their family, to put something away, to have retirement, to pay into Social Security and Medicare. By the way, those things are not entitlements, folks. You paid for it. Every day that you worked, every hour that you worked, part of that salary went to Social Security and Medicare for your future. A future that is very bleak right now for many people. There is a viewer of this show and somebody I actually care about very much who is facing these twilight years, these dire nightmare twilight years. This viewer requires oxygen to breathe, okay? 24/7 oxygen. She requires a C-Pap machine to sleep comfortably laying down. Think about it. When you go to sleep tonight and you don't have a machine over your face, you just go to sleep. Think how good that feels. And then think of someone like my viewer who can't do that without a machine. And when that machine broke recently, do you know what Medicare and her supplemental health insurance, because with Medicare, you need supplemental insurance now. When my grandmother had Medicare 40 years ago, you didn't need a separate policy. Medicare covered everything. Now they don't, even though you've paid into it for 40 years. There's a lot Medicare won't cover for you, so you need a second policy. Well, my viewer said, I need a new C-Pap machine. It's not working. I can't sleep laying down. Well, her C-Pap machine was less than 5 years old, and therefore they won't replace it. So she gets to sleep sitting up. Ever tried sleeping sitting up in a chair? Are you comfortable? Should you have to? Should you be required to sleep sitting up in a chair because you are reliant on a C-Pap machine, and because it's not 5 years old and it's not working properly, Medicare and your health insurance won't cover it? But oh, if a 24-year-old chickie-doo who's a career-oriented girl and has no boyfriends wants to freeze her eggs, no problem, health insurance will cover that. The oxygen. This woman requires oxygen, and she requires oxygen all the time. Now, we've all seen the commercials, at least I have. Well, there's new oxygen now. You just put it over your shoulder like a purse, and you can go to the mall. You can do anything you want. You can live a fairly normal life. Medicare and supplemental health insurance doesn't cover that, and it's very expensive. In fact, Medicare and supplemental health insurance will not cover the proper amount of oxygen so that my viewer can actually even go prom dress shopping with her granddaughter. She can't go to the beach anymore. She can't go out by herself because her oxygen tanks are so heavy and big, she can't put them in her car. And no one will help her. Medicare won't help her. The health insurance company won't help her. She is spending her twilight years after working all her life, and now she requires oxygen. She spends 3-4 hours a day on the phone with Medicare and insurance companies trying to be able to get enough oxygen per tank to leave her house. And let's go back to the 20-year-old who wants to freeze her eggs. 75% of 30 grand is paid for that. Think of all the things that is free to a pregnant woman who has no money. Think of the welfare and the food stamps and the free cell phones and the free TV and the free computers, all to able-bodied women who use pregnancy and motherhood as a disability. And here's someone with a real disability, and they say, well, you know what? You're 60 plus years old. You don't work. You don't need to leave the house. You don't need to go to the beach. You don't need to go to the grocery store. You don't need to walk around the mall. Just stay in your house. Sleep in a chair sitting up. One of our friends, a very good friend of this show up in Maine, was born with a debilitating illness, and she requires a wheelchair. She is on disability, so she's on Medicaid through disability. Now remember, there's a difference between Medicaid for welfare moms, which basically gives able-bodied women an excuse to stay home and pays for everything. They want to take their kid to the emergency room every night, it's covered. Our friend in Maine, Medicaid will not pay for her to have a wheelchair that performs outdoors. Again, you don't work, you're disabled, you don't need to leave the house. Really? But we'll pay for some 20-year-old to freeze her eggs so that someday in the future she can have a baby. Really? Is that truly how we treat people in this country? That once they become disabled or they retire and they're older, I mean, we say that 80 is the new 60. People are living longer, but how they are being forced to live by Medicare, by insurance companies. Try to get an organ transplant if you're 75 or 80 years old. You won't get it. But the welfare mom, if she needs an organ, she's going to get it, and she's going to get it for free. Never worked a day in her life except to push out a baby or two. And she's going to get an organ transplant, but we're not going to waste a good organ on someone who's 75. Even though every week on the Today Show, we see the Smucker's jars. People are living to 100. So at 75, you could have 30 years left. But you're not working. You're not paying income tax. So technically, we don't care about you anymore. That's what Medicare and health insurance is saying. We don't care about you. We're not going to waste a kidney or a lung or a liver on you. We'll give it to the welfare mom who's never worked a day in her life and is trying very hard to continue that, making her uterus her career. What is going on? That when you become a certain age or you get disabled, all of a sudden, you're supposed to be confined to your home. You're a prisoner in your own home. What is going on? I think this is a question worth asking. Everybody, when Obamacare came out, said, oh, we're going to throw Granny off the cliff. Medicare is already throwing Granny, Grandma, and Grandpa off the cliff. They don't pay for quality nursing home care. They don't even pay sometimes for quality rehab care after an elderly person has an illness and requires rehab. They don't pay for that. They don't even pay for hearing aids and dentures. Technically, what they're saying is once you no longer go out to your job, we don't care if you can chew food. We don't care if you can hear your granddaughter's recital at her school. We don't care if you can hear your TV. All you do is sit around all day anyway. What do you need to eat steak for? What do you need to bite into a pretzel for or a sandwich? You don't need to eat and chew your food. You don't need to watch TV. That's not a necessity. What kind of a lifestyle are we sentencing our elderly people to once they lose their hearing and they lose their teeth? Now, if a 20-something-year-old welfare mom with 3 or 4 kids from 3 or 4 different daddies needs dental work, guess what? It's free. They get it. But a 70-year-old who can't chew their food and whose teeth are falling out, they won't pay for any dental work. What the hell is going on? And what is it about this society that we want to get these kids born and then we wash our hands? All the pro-life people, they will do anything they can. GoFundMe pages and all kinds of stuff to make sure babies are born. And then they give the mothers the welfare forms to fill out. There's the welfare office down there. Your neighbors, your taxpayers. You don't have to get a job. Oh my God, no. You're a mother now. You don't need a job. You can just get everything for free. Your cell phone, your computer, your food, even your housing. Your car. Your car needs repaired. Welfare will pay for it. Because you have to have a car if you have a child. Well, our viewer who needs oxygen can't go anywhere in her car. She can't drive anymore. Because Medicare and her health insurance, supplemental health insurance, won't pay for enough oxygen and a kind of oxygen she can actually be portable and load into her car. They won't pay for that. So I guess she shouldn't ever drive again. She doesn't need to go to the grocery store. She doesn't need to go to the mall, go shopping. She should just sit in her house, not being able to breathe properly, praying that her oxygen lasts until the next delivery shows up. Oh yeah, and sleeping sitting up in a chair because her C-Pap machine won't be replaced for another 2.5 years. Something to think about. Political Paula, out.